Good morning, Coldwell Banker George Realty, and welcome to session 3 of the forms training. Today won't be as long as the other two were. Next Friday, we will go dive into all the forms regarding compensation, all the forms for open house. We'll go through some scripting. So today we're finishing up the change on the forms, so this will be a little bit shorter meeting. Next Friday, if you could please make sure you're here, because we are going to deep dive all of the compensation forms, the changes in the purchase agreement, and things of that nature. So today I'm finishing off the other forms that were changed, and we're going to get going. One thing I mentioned, I just saw a notice that RCR MLS, and it depends on what MLS you're involved in, on August 13th, they will be removing all of the compensation areas on the MLS. Now, go ahead and scrub your listings, because sometimes we put comments regarding compensation in private remarks or things like that. Please remove anything in the regarding compensation anywhere on that listing. Scrub your listings. We can help you, because from what I'm seeing on this notice we just got, and some of you may have already got it, it's a $2,500 fine. So let's make sure that we don't, and they don't notify you, they just fine you. So make sure that if you've referenced any items regarding commission in private remarks or anywhere on that MLS, please remove those comments. Okay, so
Michelle, I got a question for you.
uh-huh.
So what if they say, call listing agent for concessions?
That I'll call the lawyers today. I'm reading this and it's like, whoa, I just got it just before we started. So that is a really good question. Since we have until August 13th, I will address that in next training. And they also sent a chart that I haven't had a chance to read regarding the violations. But for instance, like our listings for Shumay Cam, we've put some additional comments in private remarks regarding compensation. So I'm going to need to go scrub all those out. So just, we'll talk more about it next week as well, when we're going over all of the compensation forms and the open house forms. So today is just concluding the forms that changed. Next week is all about compensation. So if you can come in person, that would be great. We'll have packages for every attendee, but of course we'll be on Zoom as well. So today will be a shorter meeting. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to finish off the forms. Okay. Okay. So I am concluding this training with the forms that have changed that don't pertain to compensation. We will get that done next week, as I've said. So here is a new construction purchase agreement. Now you're going to notice in this purchase agreement, as with all the other, the changes are going to be pretty mirrored on the purchase agreement. So once you can master one and understand where the changes are, you've got them all. If you are selling new construction, a lot of developers or builders will have their own contract, but they would tell you that when you're showing the unit. Okay, so I'm going to go over the changes. These are going to look very familiar from the other purchase agreements that we looked at. And let's get going. So we're looking only at red. You see here they've added insurance, very important. So 17-day contingency period, as we say every training. Make sure that the first day into escrow, you have your client calling their favorite insurance agent to check on the availability of insurance for that property. They've added in, as with all the other agreements, a couple of more lines for reports and who would be paying for it. Here they've added a couple of lines for fees or costs. So you can insert here. Now this is new construction, so they've put a termite pre-spray or treatment. And you could probably, usually the seller would pay. I know on some new construction, we've actually done a termite report on the interior of the condo only. So I'll leave that up to you. So they've just added paragraph 43, retention of deposit here. These are all going to look the same as the prior weeks. And here they've added buyers is part of the buyer's insurance contingency. Failure of buyer to obtain insurance must justify cancellation based on insurance contingency, but not the loan contingency. So what they're saying under the loan is if you're canceling because of the insurance, it needs to be based on that and not the loan. Okay. So if you get on this right away, you would know well in advance if that's an insurable property. Now, maybe 17 days aren't enough to ascertain that. You can call ahead even before the offer gets in and have them check with their insurance agent. Do a pre-check on it. So here again, insurance is all over the place. This agreement, as specified in the grid, is contingent upon the buyer's assessment and availability of insurance. So if you're talking, could you mute yourself? So I don't know who's talking. Okay, somebody's. Okay, mute yourself, please, everybody. Okay, so they've also, for new construction, they've added the balconies, exterior. Who's ever talking, please mute themselves. Okay, so they've added balcony, exterior stairways, and other elevated elements. You will note that this is writing throughout all of the purchase agreements. So this is just the same as what we saw. They added some additional numbering here to correct it. And I love this that they added this, and it's in all of the purchase agreements. Buyers advised not to remove contingencies until they've received and reviewed the documents. So if you're a listing agent, get those out as soon as possible. You don't want to be the one late and allowing the buyer to add 5 more days for review if you're, beyond your contingency period. So notice to buyer or seller to perform. So what they're telling you here is, as with all of the agreements, that doesn't include the demand to close. There is a separate form for demand to close. The notice to perform is in regards to contingencies, with the exception of a demand to close, which is a different form. Okay, so this is the same as we've saw in all of the agreements. They've made these pretty standard so that you can, once you read, all of the one agreement, you can pretty much get the rest. So here they've added, if the seller agrees to pay the obligation of buyer to compensate buyer's broker, the seller shall be entitled to a copy of the portion of the written compensation agreement between buyer and buyer's broker. So they need to be ready to provide that form if you are asking the seller to pay the commission. So here on this portion here, this is important because we need to be very transparent about commission. So the escrow holder is now instructed in our agreements that they are going to provide buyer and seller jointly or separately a closing statement and other written documentation showing the compensation paid to each brokerage or each agent. So that is instruction of escrow. We need to be very transparent in what is being paid to each agent, and escrow is instructed to disclose that in writing. So here, this is the same thing on delivery and delivered. It's that a document or applicable link to a document is deemed to be in possession if it is located in the inbox for the party or authorized agent. So once you send that, can you mute yourself?
Michelle, is Peter Z, XIE. Can you go to participants and just mute him yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see that he doesn't have the X over the microphone.
Okay. So anyway, here, that once you send that link, it is in the possession of the authorized agent once you hit send, unless they have otherwise agreed in the DEDA form, which is a delivery form. So that's very important because you do not want to be chasing somebody to say, to try to document that it's been delivered, okay? So Fair Appraisal Act in all of the contracts has been put inside of the contract. That did away with that form. The Fair Appraisal Act notice is now embedded in our offers, okay? Okay. Peter, could you mute yourself? Okay. So here, this is the same language as we've seen in all of the purchase agreements that the entity buyers, they've added some language about if the property is sold under the jurisdiction of a probate court. Okay, so that's the same in all of the agreements. No big change there. The same with an entity seller. They've added this language. And each broker agrees to disclose to their seller or buyer the amount for commission. So not only, we have to be disclosing as well as escrow. So make sure you understand that. So they need to be fully aware, and we need to be very transparent of what we're being paid. Okay. So here's where the electronic delivery is. It's the email above, and I like that they made it the email above, or you can designate another email or way for delivery, or you can attach the delivery form. And this is the same in all of the agreements. If you don't fill any of this out, it is going to default for the email that you provided in the signature block. So that would be your delivery. So once somebody hits send, it is delivered, okay? And I think that's really important because we're not chasing anymore. So that's really good for all of us. So since all of the agreements will have the same type of changes, I've only put the first page in the next contracts because we don't need to go over page by page. So we have a contract for condominium conversion, subdivision, purchase agreement. And this is.
Can you go to the participant and mail all the attendees?
Where is that?
I can go.
No. Did the
But,
participant-
they have another one, so maybe I will add another one.
Okay.
Michelle, go to participants
Right
and,
there.
and put your cursor over Peter Z
Yeah,
and then
right there.
mute him.
I'm gonna mute all.
Your mail, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
That's it,
Okay,
that's it, yeah.
okay.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yes.
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 Peter, can you
Yeah,
help
yeah.
me get it back up? I can't get up to even see where I'm at now that I got interrupted. I can't see it.
Oh, you can go back to share screen right here, yeah.
Stop share and reshare it? Is that what I should do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
very
okay,
much
I'll
so.
do it.
Okay,
Okay.
let me share it again.
Sorry, everybody. Little bit of a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Okay, so this is to use when the condominium conversion subdivision purchase agreement is to use only when a resident is part of a condominium conversion project. I, in 20+ years, have never used this. It's not a new form, but I want to point out that these all have roughly the same changes as the other ones. So I'm only including the first page. And there's also a contract for a notice of default purchase agreement. And it's for use when an investor or buyer offers to purchase an owner-occupied residential dwelling, which is under a notice of default and it has been recorded. So if you're making offers on those type of properties, make sure you use this offer. And it'll look very familiar to all the rest. And as we say, if there's any questions on anything that you're doing, always come ask. We're here all the time. You can get a hold of us in an emergency 7 days a week, okay? So already built subdivision purchase agreement is another purchase agreement that is used only when a residence has been completed and is subject to a public report, like we call them yellow slips, pink slips. So if you are making an offer on a unit that is pending the public report, then you will use this purchase agreement. Most of the time, these probably, maybe the developer would have their own contract, but you can always ask. And let me just say something. If you are planning on representing a client on a new build or anything like that, where the developer does have its own contract, I would ask for a copy of that contract so you can be highlighting if you have any questions. It could also go to the buyer and they could have their legal representation look at it as well. But you always want to ask in advance for contracts because you want to be able to review them and have your client have ample time to review them as well. So business listing agreement. So this has been revised. I'm going to mute myself for 1 second.
This company policy, anything under $200,000, we don't do it.
Okay.
Business opportunity.
Okay, so I muted because I wanted to make sure that I understood the company policy. So on business opportunities, Peter was just saying that anything under 200,000 company policy, we normally don't do it. If you have special cases, please check in with Peter and make sure that you talk to him about it on special cases for business opportunity sales. So here this is the business listing agreement, and it even tells you right here in parentheses, if there is real property included in the sale, then you need a separate listing agreement for that. So make sure you understand that if you're selling a business op that includes real estate, that you do a separate listing agreement for the real property, okay? So we're going to go through this form a little bit more. So here they've added E, and this is not a new form, but seller hasn't been advised. This is regarding compensation on broker's policy regarding cooperation with the amount of compensation offered to the buyer's broker. So the broker is authorized to cooperate and compensate brokers in any manner consistent with their policy, or if checked, the broker only offers whatever percent here, okay? So you can negotiate this up ahead. If you're planning on cooperating with other agents, you're welcome to negotiate that up ahead with the owner, okay? So they've added that in to make it easier for us. So this is the same, the entity sellers, they've added the, if the property is sold under the jurisdiction of a probate court. So all of that is the same, and then you have to put the case and the name of the estate here. Same as what we've been doing. So now we're coming to the business purchase agreement. And there are some agents that I know of that do quite a bit of business opportunity sales. So if it's something that you want to do, but you're not familiar, we really recommend that you seek one of the agents that does a lot of business opportunity sales and work with them. Because it can be a little bit tricky, right, Peter, on the business opportunity. So we want to make sure that if you decide to take on a business opportunity, that we know how to do it. And if you don't, please work with one of our agents that does do business opportunity sales, okay? So we're going to just look for the red on this agreement. Again, this is not an, oh, I'm sorry. I only put the first page because it's not a new agreement, but you can take a look at that, okay? So now we're going to get down to withdrawal of an offer. So you can see this is all red lines. So that means they've added all this. So if you have sent an offer and you want to withdraw and revoke it for an offer that's not yet accepted, So you check whichever applies. So is it the purchase agreement, a counter offer? So this is the form you would use. So look at these, and if you're withdrawing something, do this very quickly, okay? So withdraw of an offer for an offer not yet accepted according to the terms of the offer specified in 1A. The terms have not been accepted yet. They're telling you that in B. Withdrawal and revocation. The buyer and seller making the offer hereby withdraws and revokes it. Or you can also check number 2, very important. If you want confirmation of withdrawal, you confirm that this document's confirmed that the offer was withdrawn orally, by text, or by email, or in another way, which I don't know what other way you would use, maybe by pigeon. But anyway, you write the date that it was revoked on and the time and who you gave that notice to. Okay, so 2 is a good box to check. Even if you've emailed it and you've emailed this form, I would probably confirm it as well and where I emailed it and who I sent it to. Okay, so attachment of substitute contractual documents. The offer document withdrawn and revoked above is replaced. So this form also allows you to say, hey, I'm withdrawing that one, but I'm going to replace it with one of these. Okay, so, or you have another document that you can replace it with. So that's just if you maybe sent out an offer and then your buyer says, hey, I don't want to do this, and they have not accepted it yet. You use this form. You can check the confirmation and document how you notified the other party that you were revoking and withdrawing. Okay, so this form is designed very straightforward. Probably we don't use it that much, but it's nice that it's there for us if we need it. Okay. Seller instruction to exclude listing from the internet. This is not a new form. Right here, they're just telling you that listings for residential real property or vacant lots must be added to the MLS within 1 business day of any public marketing. So if you're putting up a sign, but you know, and not on the MLS, make sure that you're doing it inside, in a day. Okay. So that's all they added there. So this is form seller instruction to include listing from the internet. Now we did have an agent. I don't know if he's on here, but he wanted to exclude some pictures. So we went to the MLS and asked a lot of questions. I mean, to the board. They cannot take them off of the MLS, but they can do something to exclude those photos if you don't do it ahead of time of closing from third parties. So if you run into that situation, be talking to your board, ask them what kind of communication they need from you, and they'll try to assist you on that. Photos will not be removed from the MLS after closing or withdraw or anything like that or cancellation, okay? So we have a form for that if they want to be excluded from third party features or anything like that. And then, that comes to my mind that we need to explain to them maybe the power of, the property being shown on the internet, but some people just don't want it. So we need to be asking that question. There are check boxes on our listing agreement to address that. So interim occupancy agreement, that means that the buyer is already in possession of the unit or the property prior to close. We don't recommend this. However, since it probably comes up, CAR has written an agreement, the CAR attorneys. So this is not a new agreement. We do not recommend putting a buyer in possession prior to close. But at any rate, if that's the case, maybe a tenant's buying the property, something like that, maybe the buyer would be in possession in that case. But this is the occupancy agreement. So if you look here, because I was saying, how does this cancel? So you see right here on 2, and this isn't new, but I just was curious myself because I've never used the agreement. The term will begin on the date, that's the commencement date, and terminates at whatever time you specify here on the earliest of the date scheduled for close of escrow of the purchase agreement, or modified in writing by mutual parties, or mutual cancellation of the purchase agreement. So they have ways to cancel this interim occupancy agreement. I won't go line by line on it. This is not new. Here they've added that the maximum amount of the security deposit paid, you know, what you can charge. And you can take a look at that. Now, if you are in this situation and you need help, because you're not familiar, come to us, we'll help you. Again, we do not recommend this. There could be a lot of issues with it, okay? So that, but just so that you know, the attorneys have made an agreement for that type of case. So like I said, today's going to be short. We're finishing up the bundle I had on new contracts, and this will conclude this training. I hope that you're all available next Friday for all of the commission training, open house, how you, the forms you need for that, how to talk to the buyers. We'll help you with everything we can. Doug Meyer will be here to assist, Peter Cam, I'll be here. So let's all get together next week. We hope to see you in person.
Yeah.
If not, we'll still be Zooming. But Peter would love for you to come in person, he
Yeah.
just said.
Especially when the forms that you can get the whole bunch of forms. Yeah, that's very useful.
So this is what we've handed out so far in the 3 sessions. So the reason I'm doing that is because I can copy it colored. You'll see the red sections. So we have packages for you, and we'll do the same next week. We're trying to make it easier to understand. So any questions or comments before we conclude?
Well, we have some extra, extra package,
Yeah.
in case you want to come to the, Hamburg office to pick it up, you're welcome to.
We have extra packages for this training session 3 already copied in color for you. If you want to pick them up, we will have them here for you. They are in my office. Are there any other questions? Let me look on the chat and make sure.
Yeah, Michelle, this is Oscar for you.
Oh, hello, go ahead.
Yes, yeah, I'm on my way to the office right now because I would like to pick up a package.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I have a bunch in my office already printed.
Great, thank you very much. It was a really good class.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, so let me, okay, so somebody asked a Zoom user, I don't know who the person is, but they said on the, regarding the commission, we won't make that mistake because somebody is already inputting the MLS for us. This is true. We do have a listing coordinator, but it's incumbent on all of us as agents. Please be reviewing that listing. You know, you have to look, you have to make sure. And like, I know most of you aren't going to put any comments about commission in the private remarks. So yes, you would be fine. August 13th on CRMLS, all of the commission is going to be removed from the platform. Don't have any comments anywhere, public, private. If you've asked them to do that, make sure that you look at your own listings and ask us to delete it, and we will do that. Okay, so what do we mean by new construction? Jeffrey, it's anything that's being built, you know, like there's new construction projects are all over the place. It doesn't necessarily mean it was built in 2024. Maybe they're still selling units that didn't all the way sell out from 2023. They're still new built. So that's what we're talking about. But like I said, most builders will have their own contracts. So you need to check on that when you're showing.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome. So Kathy is asking. Okay, hi Kathy. So she's asking, and this will be more of a company policy. Is it mandatory to list on the MLS if it's commercial? Because it would be commercial because she's working AIR. So not all AI commercial is on the MLS. I don't know if we have a hard and fast policy here for that.
No.
Okay, so if it's something, Kathy, that you're working on commercial, you either turn the forms in for the MLS or not, okay? So for Shumay and I, we always utilize the MLS as well. We use LoopNet, CoStar, Crexy, AIR platform, and we post it everywhere we can, just so it flows out to the internet. So that's entirely up to you, Kathy, and your client, I should say. Can we, okay, so can we submit our buyer and the buyer representation? Do we submit when we first meet and later on? Krishna, yeah, when you meet your buyer, you're going to be filling out a compensation form. And that would be done prior to even submitting an offer or showing property. We will go over that next week, and I will call you privately if you're in that situation right now. And we can talk about it. But yes, you need to have that form completed prior to showing the property, because when the seller asks for it, they'll see that you had that agreement prior and it wasn't just with making that offer. So I'll talk to you privately. Are there any other questions? So just so you know, those type of questions that Krishna asks are great questions, and we're going to go in depth next Friday. We hope that you come here in person. It does help with the energy of the room and the fact that we have all the printouts in color for you. But nonetheless, we'll be Zooming as well. Any other questions before we conclude?
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yep. So if, Peter, you have any comments?
No,
Okay, so we'll see you next Friday for all of the commission agreements and open house forms. So
Yes.
looking forward to that. Anybody that needs a package, stop by my office. I have extras.
Yeah, I'll be coming today.
Okay, thank you. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you too, Michelle. Bye.